You were born in 1900. The Russian Empire. Your first cry was drowned out by the creak of a wagon. You are a peasant. Your destiny. Toil the earth and die for the Tsar. Your first shoes were lapti, Bass sandals. Infographic. Birch bark, free of charge. Service life, 1 week. Shock absorption, 0. Your feet knew pain before you learned to walk. 1914. The Great War begins. Your father was taken to the front. You became the man of the house. You're only 14, but you have the calluses of a 40-year-old man. Childhood ended in 1917. The Tsar is gone. The country is torn apart. The Reds promise land. The Whites promise a flogging with ramrods. You choose the side that gives you a rifle instead of a kick. Welcome to the Red Army. Your Budanovka hat, made of wool, is shaped like the helmet of a legendary Russian knight. Infographic. Saber protection, 10%. Frost protection, 30%. Symbolism, 100%. The Mosin rifle. Model of 1891. The 3-liner. She'll be your wife, mother, and mistress for the next 25 years. Reliable as a hatchet. Fatal at 2 kilometers, if you have the eyes of an eagle. The bayonet is 4-sided and needle-pointed. It doesn't cut sausage. It leaves deep, jagged wounds that never heal. The Geneva Convention weeps just looking at it. The war ends in 1925. You're a grown man, but you read syllable by syllable. Lickbez, the campaign against illiteracy. Your weapon is now a primer. For the first time, you learn the earth is round. 1930. Collectivization. They took your horse, but gave you a tractor. The iron steed. You stare at it like it's a starship. Progress smells of diesel. 1939. Back in the ranks. The Winter War. The main lesson. How to wrap your feet. 1 fold in your foot traps, and you'll rub the skin to the bone in an hour. It's an art form, not hosiery. Finland. -40 degrees. Your enemy isn't a Finn with a Suomi submachine gun. It's General Frost. Fall asleep in a snowdrift, and you never wake up. Bread has to be chopped with an axe. Then Narcom's 100 grams, a vodka ration before the attack. Not for courage, but to stop from going mad with cold and fear. Liquid anesthesia for the soul. 1941. Summer. You thought you'd fought your share, but Molotov's voice crackles through the loudspeaker. War again. This time, the Great Patriotic War. Your pack is a Sidor, a simple canvas sack with a strap. Infographic. Inside, rusks, spare foot traps, Makorka tobacco, and a letter from home. Weight, 20 kilograms. Comfort, 0. The Death Medallion. An ebonite capsule with a slip of paper. Many refuse to fill it out. A bad omen. Fill it in, and you're a dead man. You're superstitious. You leave yours empty. The entrenching tool is your best friend. You dig foxholes with it, fry eggs on it, chop wood with it, and hack through fascists in hand-to-hand combat. The greatcoat, the ultimate multi-tool. By day, it's clothing. By night, a sleeping bag and pillow. If it gets wet, it weighs a ton. If it freezes, it stands stiff as armor. Makorka, brutal tobacco made from stems. You roll a goat's leg from a scrap of newspaper. The smoke is so acrid it kills mosquitoes midair. It's the front line's primary currency. You saw the Germans in caricatures, pitiful and cowardly. In reality, they are well-fed, arrogant, high-tech killers. They've rolled up their sleeves, and they're coming for you. 1941, the year of dust and shame. We are retreating. You wear your feet bloody walking east. Abandoned tanks, charred huts. You grit your teeth, but for now, you keep moving back. October 1941. The Germans watch the Kremlin through binoculars. You're clawing at the frozen earth outside Moscow. If they break through, there's nothing to go home to. Moscow is at your back. December. The frost hits -30. Oil freezes in the German tanks. Snot freezes in their noses. They wrap themselves in stolen women's shawls, while you have Valenki boots and a sheepskin coat. Time for revenge. The Siberian divisions have arrived. Fresh, furious, well-fed. They leap from the train straight into the fray. For them, -30 is just a brisk breeze. The Germans are in shock. The Russians never end. Tank fright is cured by practice. You don't have anti-tank missiles. You have a bundle of grenades and a bottle of gasoline. You have to let a tiger get within 10 meters. A test of nerves. 1942. The Allies send aid. American canned meat, Spam. We call it the Second Front. Tasty, fatty, but it opens with a strange key. A new toy. the PPSH-41. Papasha. Daddy. A 71 round drum. Heavy. It chews through ammo like a beast, but in close quarters, it's a lawnmower. The Fritz's dream of capturing one. When the Katyushas sing, the earth shudders. Rocket artillery. A sound like the sky itself is tearing apart. The Germans call it Stalin's organ. You're just glad you're not on the receiving end. Summer 1942. We're running again. Stalin issues order number 227. Not a step back. Behind you, blocking detachments. Brutal? Yes. But there's nowhere left to run. There is no land beyond the Volga. The Rusev meat grinder. You never even saw the enemy. You saw only mud. We attacked and died by the thousands for unnamed hills. Mud mixed with blood. A dead German isn't just an enemy. He's a supply depot. Your boots fell apart, so you stripped the boots off of Fritz. A bit tight, but they're leather. War kills fastidiousness. Stalingrad, a city where time is measured in seconds. The average lifespan of a soldier here is 24 hours. The city burns so brightly you can read a newspaper at night. A war for every floor. We're on the first, the Germans are on the second, and we're back on the third. A layer cake of death. We lob grenades through holes in the ceiling. Snipers are everywhere. Poke your head out, take a bullet. You learn to scuttle hunched over like a crab. A helmet on a stick is the only way to check if a sniper is watching. Ammo is out. You use everything. Shovels, knives, bricks, and teeth. Hand to hand in the basement. There is no tactic here, only animal rage. Whoever strikes first lives. Hunger. The field kitchen was blown to bits. You gnaw on a rusk that seems to date back to Napoleon. In Leningrad, they boil wood glue. In Stalingrad, they eat horses killed a week ago. You're ordered onto the hull of AT-34. Tank of descent, tank riders. Living armor for the machine. The hull is warm, but if the tank is hit, you'll either burn or be blown into a ditch. A dangerous taxi. A lull in the fighting. Bath day. You boil your tunic in a vat of scalding water. You can hear the lice popping. It's the sweetest sound of the war. Clean underwear is pure bliss. Triangular letters, no envelopes. The paper is folded into a clever tuck. The censor blots out the details in ink. Where are you? You write. Alive and well, killing the Fritz. You're lying, of course. February 1943. We did it. Paulus surrenders. You watch endless columns of German prisoners. They trudge along, wrapped in rags. Now they understand General Frost. A trophy harmonica. You don't know how to play, but you learn. Between battles, a quiet melody drowns out the ringing in your ears. Music restores your humanity. 1943, Stalin's order. Bring back the shoulder boards. Yesterday, you were a comrade with collar tabs. Today, you're practically a czarist officer. The old-timers grumble, but they sew them on. Spring. The roads vanish. Tanks sink to their turrets. You push trucks with your bare shoulders. Mud isn't just wet earth. It's a glue that drains your soul. The war has stalled. You survived bayonet charges only to be caught by a stray. A random mortar barrage at a river crossing. A whistle, a flash, darkness. You didn't even realize you'd been hit. Heroism 0. Pain 100%. A medical battalion tent. The smell of carbolic acid, blood, and alcohol. The surgeon hasn't slept in 3 days. He cuts without anesthesia. You scream. They shove a wooden peg between your teeth. Endure, soldier. You'll be dancing yet. You're sent to the rear. A hospital train, white sheets, luxury, the rhythm of the rails. You lie on the top bunk, and, for the first time in 2 years, you feel safe. But your conscience gnaws at you. The boys are still out there, and you're here. The deep rear, the Urals. Food is scarce, but there's alcohol. The wounded trade medals for moonshine. You learn to walk again on crutches. The war feels like a fever dream, but your leg aches whenever it rains. The doctor examines you. The bone has fused. Fit for duty. You could have faked it, stayed behind as a clerk, but you asked to return to the front. Your family is there. Here, you're a stranger. You're back in the ranks, but your old squad is gone. Everyone is dead. You join a new unit. 18-year-old boys all around, unblooded. You're 43. To them, you're Pop, an immortal veteran. The Kursk bulge. We weren't brought here to shoot, but to dig. We bury ourselves 3 meters deep. Trenches, bunkers, decoy positions. You've shoveled a mountain of soil. Sweat pours. They give you a PTRD, an anti-tank rifle. A long, heavy pipe. The recoil is enough to dislocate your shoulder. Goodbye shoulder, we call it. But it punches through light armor like paper. July 4th, 1943. Night. A silence so deep it rings in your ears. Crickets are singing. You know that behind the hill, the engines of thousands of German tanks are warming up. The last quiet night on Earth. 5 a.m. The earth heaves. German artillery is plowing your trenches. You lie at the bottom, hands clamped over your mouth so your eardrums don't burst. It feels like the end of the world. Attack. Not a tiger, but a Ferdinand is crawling toward you. A massive self-propelled gun, no machine gun, but 200 millimeters of frontal armor. Your PTRD is a mosquito bite to it. The order: aim for the eyes. You don't fire at the armor. You aim for the vision slits and periscopes. Blind the elephant, and it becomes helpless. Bang. Glass shatters. The trench didn't save you. The tank rolls directly over your head. Ironing. You press yourself into the dirt, feeling the heat of the engine and the stench of diesel. The walls collapse. You're buried alive. Comrades dig you out. You're alive, but the world is silent. Shell shock. Life is now a silent movie. You see the commander screaming, but you hear only a high-pitched ring. Blood trickles from your ear. July 12th. The climax of hell. Tanks ram each other. Steel melts and drips onto the scorched earth. There is no place for infantry here, yet we run forward. The battle subsides. You want to live, but you want to drink even more. There is no water. You crawl to a shell crater. The water is orange with oil and blood. You strain it through a rag. The taste of metal and death. The Battle of Kursk is over. The field is a graveyard of scrap metal. You walk among thousands of blackened husks. The Germans broke their teeth here. Now, we move forward without stopping. The medal for courage. A heavy silver disc stamped with a tank. Not for the brass in the rear, but for blood. The most honest medal a soldier can earn. You wear it with pride. Ukraine, mud up to your waist. The tanks are bogged down. We drag the artillery pieces on our own backs. The black earth swallows your boots. The Studebaker, an American beast. 3 axles. It hauls the guns through muck where our trucks would have died miles ago. Summer 1944. Operation Bag Ration. Now we're teaching the Germans how to run. Blitzkrieg, Russian style. The cauldron snaps shut. The forests of Belarus. Partisans emerge from the thicket. Old men with sawed-off shotguns. They blew the rails while we charged ahead. The Germans burn everything. Villages are ash. Wells are poisoned. We march through a dead wasteland. Rage boils in your veins. Thousands of German prisoners. Yesterday, they were supermen. Today, they are ragamuffins begging for bread. A pitiful sight. The border. That same post. It took us 3 years to reach this line. The enemy's lair lies ahead. Europe, tiled roofs, paved roads. You look at it, and you're furious. Why did you ever come for our wooden huts? The infantry has switched to capture German. Bicycles. You ride with a submachine gun slung over your neck. Fast, quiet, letting your legs rest. Bicycle troops. The Faust patron, the tube of death. Any child can torch a tank from a window now. Tanks are useless in the city. They just burn. Urban combat. We breach walls with crowbars. A grenade through the hole, then a burst of fire. Room by room. We gnaw through the concrete. A death camp. The ovens are still warm. Mountains of children's shoes. You look at them and turn gray in a minute. We stop taking prisoners. German warehouses, sausage, chocolate, cheese. For the first time, you eat until you're full. Your stomach aches from the shock of real food. War is war, but dinner is kingly. A wine cellar. French cognac and schnapps. We drink vintage wine from aluminum mugs. The taste of victory goes straight to your head. Watches are the ultimate trophy. A soldier wears 3 on his wrist. Not greed, a souvenir. The countdown to victory ticks louder. German women look at us with terror. Goebbels told them we have horns and tails. Instead, we give their children porridge. The narrative shatters. The Silo Heights. The key to Berlin. At night, we ignite 140 searchlights, blinding the Germans as we charge. A light show of death. The outskirts of Berlin. A fortress city. Barricades made of trams. Fire from every basement. The air is gray with concrete dust. The Berlin metro. Hitler orders the tunnels flooded. The water is rising. Both we and the Germans drown in the darkness. We're underground. The zoo, the flak tower. Concrete walls 2 meters thick. Our guns can't dent them. The hippos are dead. Only the SS remain. The Reichstag. The final push. The steps are slick with blood. We swarm upward like ants. Bullets whistle past your temple. 100 meters to victory. The roof. Igorov and Kantaria plant the flag. A red banner against a leaden sky. You watch from below and weep. We made it. We survived. The wall of the Reichstag. You take a piece of charcoal and scrawl. Ivan was here. Beside it, thousands of names. The guest book of the victors. Read it, Hitler. Karlshorst. Field Marshal Keitel signs the surrender. His hand is shaking. The war ends with the stroke of a pen. The beast is in a cage. May 9th, silence. It's deafening. The guns are silent. For the first time in 4 years, you hear birds singing, not explosions. There is still ringing in your ears. We are feeding Berlin. Field kitchens smoke on the street corners. You pour porridge for German children. Yesterday, you killed their fathers. Today, you are saving them. At the intersection stands a Russian girl, a traffic controller. A wave of her flag. Tanks turn right. She's the boss here. The Brandenburg Gate is ours. Demobilized. You pack your suitcase. A length of fabric for your wife. A singer's sewing machine, an accordion. You're bringing home no gold, just a life to rebuild. A train to the east. The cars are draped in branches. At every station, an orchestra and tears. You're carried on the shoulders of strangers. You are a hero. You returned. But your village is gone. Only chimney stacks remain. Your house burned down in 42. Your wife lives in a dugout. Victory is joy with tears in your eyes. Your wife. She's 40, but looks 60. She hitched herself to the plow while you fought. Her hands are rougher than yours. You look at each other and stay silent. Your children play with your medals. To them, for courage is just a shiny coin. Your youngest son doesn't recognize you. To him, you're just a strange uncle. No time to rest. A house must be built. You lay bricks with the same hand that threw grenades. The war destroyed. Now you must assemble the world anew. 1946. Drought. Famine. No bread. You eat weeds and nettles. You survive the bullets only to face starvation after the victory. A cruel irony. The Black Cat gangs. A wave of banditry sweeps the country. There's a sea of weapons in civilian hands. You sleep with a trophy pistol under your pillow. The war has moved to the home front. You dream of the attack. Every night, you scream in your sleep. Tanks on the left. Your wife wakes you. You're drenched in sweat. The war won't leave your head. The shrapnel in your leg starts to migrate. Before the rain, you howl in pain. The doctors say it's inoperable. You carry German steel inside you like a souvenir. May 9th, 1946. It's not a holiday yet, just a regular workday. You drink a shot in silence for those who didn't come back. No parades. The pain is too fresh. The trophy harmonica sits on the cupboard. You rarely touch it. It smells of war. But sometimes, after a drink, your fingers remember the melody. You survived. You walked through hell from 41 to 45, built a home, and raised your children. You are a simple Russian soldier, a man of steel made of flesh and blood. You walked 2,500 kilometers from Moscow to Berlin. You wore out 10 pairs of boots. Your feet became harder than iron. You shoveled 200 tons of earth, trenches, dugouts, graves. Your shovel worked more often than your rifle. Your combat load was 32 kilograms. Rifle, ammo, sack, greatcoat, shovel. You charged into battle with that weight, and you didn't fall. Myth. The German MP-40 was better. Fact. Germans discarded their own guns for the PPSH. We had 71 rounds in the drum. They had 32. Firepower wins. The T-34 wasn't perfect. It was cramped, blind, and loud, but simple as a tractor. If it broke, you fixed it with a sledgehammer and kept driving. The Tiger? A masterpiece, but temperamental. A complex gearbox. If it broke in the field, it stayed there. Abandon and run. 800,000 women in the ranks. Snipers, pilots, medics. This war had a woman's face, and it was a terrifying sight for the enemy. Lend-Lease wasn't just canned meat. It was gunpowder, aluminum for planes, and 400,000 trucks. Without that help, the road to Berlin would have been much longer. Did you drink a tanker of vodka? No. Rations were for winter and the eve of battle. On average, you drank 100 liters over 4 years. A liver of steel. Lice were your faithful companions. You fed them your blood for 1,418 days. No frost or chemicals could kill them. They only vanished in the bathhouses of Berlin. Ludmila Pavlichenko, Lady Death, killed 309 fascists. The Germans offered her chocolate over loudspeakers to defect. Naive dogs. Tank hunters. They were taught that food was under the tank. They ran under tigers with mines strapped to their backs. Living, one-way torpedoes. The roar of a Katyusha volley, 140 decibels. Like a jet engine taking off. The Germans went mad from the howl alone, even if the rockets missed. Myth. Penal units were driven by sticks. Fact. They were elite assault squads. They were better armed than regular infantry. The elite of the doomed. Your menu in 1941, frozen potatoes and boiling water. 1945, German preserves, schnapps, and white bread. The stomach remembers. The sapper shovel. In a cramped trench, it's more terrifying than a sword. It can split a helmet and the skull beneath it. Perfect balance. A tool turned legend. Luger or TT. Officers loved the Luger. It was sleek, beautiful, but the TT pistol punched through German helmets and winter caps like they weren't there. Power over style. The mail. 6 billion letters sent during the war. Triangles of hope. If the mail was late, morale collapsed. A letter was more precious than ammo. Sleep. During the offensive, you slept 2 hours a day. Your body ran on reserves you didn't know you had. You aged 10 years in 4. The price of victory, 27 million lives. If we held a minute of silence for every soul lost, the world would be quiet for 50 years. Think about that. A spoon is more important than a rifle. Without food, a soldier is a corpse. You carried yours in your boot. Always with you, always ready. The Germans wore boots with iron nails. Iron draws the cold. You wore Valenki. Felt holds the heat. Physics won the war. The Wehrmacht. Movie myths. 1 rifle for every 3 men. Nonsense. By 1942, we were drowning in weapons. You were more likely to run out of food than bullets. The Katyusha lighter, a crushed shell casing, a wick, and a flint. Wheel. Simple, reliable, eternal. No Zippos here. Fire made from scrap. We loved the captured Faust patrons. German steel against German tanks. The irony of fate. It didn't shoot far, but it hit hard. Soviet doctors were magicians. 70% of the wounded returned to the ranks. They patched you up, stitched you together, and sent you back. A conveyor belt of life. The SSH-40 helmet. The iconic silhouette. It wouldn't stop a bullet point blank, but it saved you from the rain of shrapnel. Your iron umbrella. Tobacco was food. Makorka killed the hunger. If you didn't smoke, you traded tobacco for sugar. Non-smokers were rich, but they were nervous. Meeting on the Elba. The Americans. They gave you whiskey and cigarettes. You gave them stars and vodka. We were friends. For exactly 5 minutes of history. Smersh, death to spies. They were feared more than the Germans. They hunted saboteurs, but they could take you, too, for talking too much. The eyes and ears of the front, a terrifying statistic. Of the boys born in 1923, only 3% survived. An entire generation erased. You are the exception. The Victory Parade, 1945. Soldiers cast German banners at the foot of the mausoleum. They wore gloves so as not to soil their hands on fascism. Then, they burned the gloves. All of Europe learned one Russian word, Davri. It meant give, move, work. The universal password of the era. The war ended, but the mines remained. For 10 years, sappers and children died in the fields. The earth spat out iron for a long time. In every city in Europe, there are monuments to you. Alyosha, the stone soldier with a child in his arms. You saved the world. And the world, for now, remembers. Who rebuilt the country? The women. The men were gone. They harnessed themselves to the plows when the horses were dead. They rebuilt the USSR on their shoulders. Hundreds of thousands of veterans without legs, without arms. They rolled on carts with ball-bearing wheels. They were cleared from the streets so they wouldn't spoil the view of victory. The bitter truth. 1949, we got the bomb. You finally exhaled. Now, the Americans wouldn't attack. The Cold War began, but you knew a hot one was over for good. In the movies, soldiers scream for Stalin. In reality, you screamed for your mother, or you just cursed. War isn't glory, it's filthy work. The war stayed in your body. Shrapnel near the heart, a scar on the leg. You are a living archive of pain. Your wounds ache before the rain, a reminder of the price of peace. Nature is stronger than man. The trenches are overgrown. Birches grow in the craters. The earth healed its wounds faster than your soul. The third toast is drunk in silence, without clinking glasses, for those left in the ditches and swamps. It is a sacred ritual. While you drink, they stand beside you. The tomb of the unknown soldier. You could be the one lying there. Your name is unknown. Your deed is immortal. The eternal flame warms the dead. An old photo from 1941. You're young, handsome, with no idea what hell looks like. You look at that boy like he's a stranger. He was killed by the war. A peaceful sky. You only learn its value when you've seen it burn. For others, it's just blue. For you, it's a miracle. You are called the generation of victors. You were made of iron nails. Men of steel. You broke the spine of fascism and rebuilt a nation. You went through hell and you came home. You are a Soviet soldier. And that was your whole life. I have the honor. In the next life, we fight for coin. You are a landsknecht. Your armor costs more than a castle, and your life is cheaper than a bullet. Pay me, and I'll march into hell. History is written in blood.